How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Appreciate you being here. We are 1 month later. We're missing a couple of people from our group, but it is what it is. If this is the first time here, we talk about different topics once a month. So week 1 we did comic book talk. Week 2 we did. Is this week 2? Yeah, I think it is week 2. All right. So for week 2, we're gonna talk about. It was gonna be media. We were gonna do Mortal Kombat and Invincible, but we decided we're just gonna go with what the crowd's going with right now and talk about Spider-Man and all the Spider-Man films, what we liked about them, what we didn't like, what we think is gonna happen with these with this one coming up, if how we feel about the multiverse, things like that. But before we get started, let me just remind you, hit that follow button if you're on Twitch, if you're on YouTube. Thank you for joining us, first of all, and second, hit subscribe if you haven't, and share this with your friends. We got Matt here at the top, to my left, also known as Talking Pop Culture. Matt, you want to say hi?
What's up, guys? Talking Pop Culture. Follow me on Instagram where I do comic book reviews. And you can follow my YouTube account where I do some cool rants. So go check them out. All cool Talking Pop Culture.
And then down here we got Carlos, Omnipotent City Comics. And I just heard from the grapevine that he's gonna start his own YouTube channel too. So
yeah, hey everybody, just follow me on Instagram. I typically just like to post my favorite covers, any upcoming story arcs that I'm going to enjoy, and any comic news that I'm excited for. My YouTube channel, I'm primarily thinking about just talking the issues and the runs that I like, doing some reviews, my thoughts, and yeah. Thank you guys
for a walking encyclopedia, so make sure you subscribe.
For sure. No, once he starts doing those talking about older comics and stuff, you're definitely not going to want to miss that. So we're going to talk about Spider-Man. The reason we even brought this up is because me personally, I just started rewatching all the Spider-Man movies with my wife. It was actually her idea, believe it or not. And I mentioned that the Tobey Maguire movies, they're just not as good as I remember them. And I know. Andrew Garfield is not as bad as I remember him, and Tom Holland he's a good teenage Peter. I think that's it. Like, I like him. What I really do not like, and you guys let me know what you think. I do not like the influence, the amount of Iron Man influence with Tom Holland at all. Yeah. Like he's got the suit. At one point, he does make his own webs, but then that gets taken away by Tony Stank. You know, he comes in and he just brings, here's the suit, here's the webbing, here's Karen or whatever the name is that he talks to. I don't appreciate that. Like Tom didn't do anything to earn his Spider-Man status, and now he is.
They haven't done like the story of him getting, the origin story of him. I know they just thought, screw it, we've already done it a couple of times. We don't need to do it again. We haven't seen him like deal with how he got the powers, like how everyone else did, like how Garfield did and how Tobey Maguire. We haven't got to see him grow with it, and I feel that's what is a bit harder for people to accept Tom Holland as Spider-Man, because you're not seeing him deal with the difficulties and all that kind of responsibilities and that kind of stuff that we got with the other two Spider-Man, because obviously in Garfield's one, his parents died they showed the parents dying on the plane and all that, wasn't it? Isn't that?
Yeah.
I remember.
In the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they tell the story a bit better of the origins, where Tom Holland, we don't get that, and it's just like, to me, I like it because it's like, cool, we don't have to relive it again like Batman. Every time there's a bloody Batman movie, we've got to get an origin story. But yeah, I think that's why a lot of people kind of fall off Tom Holland a bit.
Yeah, at first I was happy. Like, we don't get an origin story. We get it. We understand like what he did. But now rewatching all these, it's like the influence that Iron Man has. That influence should come from Uncle Ben, and he doesn't ever mention Uncle Ben. Like the reason he does the things that he does is because of the lesson he learned from Uncle Ben. And in this
Because
one,
all
it's
we've
like
had was his suitcase. It was just when he was packed his suitcase in Far From Home. It had Ben's initials on the suitcase.
yeah.
That's the only thing we've been told about Ben, pretty
But
much.
he doesn't even like care. Like he does. I don't know. It is annoying when they bring up, oh, my dead uncle and stuff. But at the same time, it's like he hasn't even brought it up one time. And like,
Well, with great power comes great responsibility. The biggest line for Spider-Man is said by his uncle.
right, and we don't know. We don't know. And like and now everything
I
that he
reckon
does.
a multiverse, mate. This Spider-Man, if they're doing the multiverse, we're gonna get him going into a freaking universe where he sees his Ben die or some bullshit like that.
I think,
Flashpoint.
I think if we get the multiverse, it's gonna be tough to just to get all of that in there. You want to talk about Uncle Ben. You want to talk about how all the other characters are in this. If Andrew's in it, if Toby's in it, like, are they going to even take the time? They shouldn't. In my opinion, they shouldn't take the time to explain who they are. But if they
Nah,
do,
they can't. They can't. The movie will go for fucking 4 hours long, man.
oh yeah, exactly. It's gonna be a 5-hour movie. I already heard. I heard it through this talking pop culture guy. No,
My sources.
So my thing with Tom Holland Spider-Man is that first I completely agree with you guys' points in terms of Uncle Ben and the lack of focus on him, especially because he's historically always been the biggest influence on why Peter does what he does, right? Like Matt mentioned, with great power there must come great responsibility. But I think that in Far From Home, at least, we do get a sense of Peter acknowledging that he's not and doesn't want to be the next Iron Man.
Yeah.
And I think that the biggest criticism that he faces is people saying that Marvel and Sony, for that matter, are pushing him to be the next Iron Man, right? To take up not necessarily the mantle, but the leader of the new generation of Avengers. And people have a problem with that because Spider-Man has not been known primarily to be a member of the Avengers. He's had runs with them, and he's been part of the team. He's lived in the Avengers mansion during the comics, especially when both him and Mary Jane were together. I mean, he was around them a lot, right? He was part of the family. But in the long history of the Avengers, he's never thought of as one of the main members.
Yeah, he's not a core member.
Yeah, exactly. He's not a core member, and I think that that's where a lot of the criticism arises from. But I think that was alleviated, at least for me, when we do get those scenes that he says, "Hey, I'm Spider-Man. I want to be your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man," and he acknowledges that he's not trying to take over that mantle. Now, the reason why I don't have the biggest problem with Tony being present when he was alive is now that we look at the events of Endgame and that Tony is not around any longer. I think that the payoff of him having a mentor and someone that he wants to make proud, I think that's going to set up a lot of great future storylines.
But that's the thing. That should be like it shouldn't be, because in the first one, Homecoming, he's talking to Tony and he's saying, like, I want to be just like you. Without the suit, I'm nothing. Blah blah. Tony said, I don't want you to be like me. I want you to be better than me. Do the good things and don't be like me. So with you saying that he's gonna take inspiration from his death and become better, I'm like, that's what he should have got from Uncle Ben. That's my personal thought on that.
Yeah.
However, though, and again, that I totally agree with that. But even in the comics, though, he does what he does because of what happened to Uncle Ben, and again, that whole responsibility thing that he instilled in him. But he does it more out of failing to save his life, and the lesson that he got from him is something that that adds to him wanting to redeem himself. So Uncle Ben was never really around to guide Peter once he became Spider-Man, right? He had to learn all of that on his own, which is great. but the fact that he had a mentor to at least be there from the beginning, I think is only going to inspire him to want to be an even better and greater hero. Because I mean, what else? What better thing to try and live up to than Iron Man? I mean, he is the biggest thing in the world when it comes to the Avengers, right? But even like Tony told him, I want you to be better. I personally think that it's going to allow for Tom Holland's iteration of Spider-Man to be something different and something that's a little bit more inspiring. And we haven't gotten a Spider-Man that's inspiring. I don't think. I don't think ever. I mean, his storylines have always revolved around tragedy, and that's what makes him a great hero. Don't get me wrong, but I think that in this post Endgame world where we've seen the absolute worst of what can happen when evil prevails, I think that it's going to be fun to get a little bit more of a hopeful and inspiring Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and I think that that's going to be a unique take. So, again, I hope that they reference Uncle Ben a lot more because to me that's super important, and you guys know how much of an absolute fan and love I have for Spider-Man, but I'm okay with them doing something a little bit different.
My question is, sorry, just quickly, my question is, how long is Uncle Ben been dead for? And that's what I want to know from this Spider-Man, because the question is, Aunt May has freaking moved on pretty quick.
Yeah, like, did he even have an Uncle Ben? Like,
Aunt May's with Happy,
in
like,
there.
in the second film, man. Like, they're moving on. She's moving on quick. Like, that's my question. Like, hang on, man. How's this woman? I reckon maybe we're gonna get a different. If they ever go the route of explaining it, I reckon it's gonna be a different.
Are you saying that Aunt May is gonna die in the next movie, and that she's gonna say with great power comes great responsibility?
Maybe Uncle Ben left them or something. I don't know, but I just that's another thing. When I watch it, I'm thinking, hang on, Aunt May.
In the comics,
she's so happy and excited, and she's just like, I don't know, man. I just find it weird compared to the last two. You know what I mean? The last two Spider-Man film.
In the current comics, she has moved on, so like I don't mind the fact that she wants to move on, but you're right, it does seem like
fresh.
I think Spider-Man was established that he's been around for a couple of months before Tony found him, so like yeah, she did move on pretty quick.
Yeah,
that's all I gotta say about that though. Like,
well, actually, hold on, wait a minute. Let's see, did we get and this is my bad, but did we get confirmation of if she was around for 5 years, or did she poof disappear as well?
No, she disappeared.
You did?
I haven't watched Far From Home yet. So.
They haven't. No, they haven't confirmed it. He did. Spider-Man did, but I don't think she did.
I think she did.
Well, if she did, then fuck me. Her and Happy got like that really quick.
No,
she would have to been alive with Happy, 100%.
I don't think she did though, actually, because she did have like that whole in the Far From Home, the second one. Wasn't she doing like some kind of like charity for it, like that she's been established. I don't know. Honestly, I don't.
Yeah, she's on the Feast charity.
That's right. Yeah.
But she would have had to have been still around.
Yeah, still okay.
Okay, so yeah,
so it's been 5 years.
If they fast forward the 5 years, alright, sorry, I've just completely forgot about the blip in the 5 years.
You know what I mean? So it's like, well...
Either way, she's still the youngest and most attractive Aunt May that there has been in any of the series. Man, it was one thing that my wife keeps bringing up. She's like, the first Aunt May from the first Spider-Man films, like
old hag, mate.
She's not an aunt. She's a grandma, man. She's a grandma. And then Sally Field was like, I think, spot on age-wise for Aunt May, and like she definitely wasn't like being hit on by Iron Man at any point. But I think again that's another point for why Amazing Spider-Man I think is the better of the trio. And he actually like moved like a spider in his fights. I've only seen the first one again, like rewatched it recently, and he like the way he like moved around the lizard and like covered him in the web, and how he climbed the buildings and stuff, like he's the most spider-like out of all of them.
To me, and Andrew Garfield, ASM Spider-Man, you know, 1 and 2, out of, you know, all of them, in terms of, you know, balance and depiction, for me, they're my favorite films. I think that uh, Tobey Maguire really nailed it as Peter Parker.
Yeah.
I think that he has been the best Peter Parker, hands down. In terms of how he was originally introduced, you know, in Amazing Fantasy and your first 50 to in the first 50 issues of Spider-Man, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the idea that, hey, he's kind of an outcast, man, you know? He's picked on, he's bullied, he's in love with his next door neighbor Mary Jane and can't do anything about it.
Just a huge nerd, honestly. Like, he's just a huge nerd too. Like,
he's just a huge nerd, and Tobey Maguire conveys that so well.
Do you want to know just on a quick fact about Tobey Maguire Spider-Man? And this is I'm gonna lose a lot of respect. I'm gonna lose reputation for saying this. All right, but just know before I say this, I was a DC boy. I've always read DC. I never really was into Marvel. I always thought Spider-Man's webs, because of that fucking Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, came out of his wrists. I never knew until of the Amazing Spider-Man with Garfield that he actually made the mechanics.
hey, so saying that
Just saying that.
Rewatching the first one, it got me thinking. I was like, did the movie do it first, or was it in the comics first to have the organic webs? And I looked it up, and it was the movie. The movie came out in 2002, I believe, and the comics didn't have organic webbing until 2006. In the story prior,
Stan Lee's original first Spider-Man, he made the things for to shoot him out.
Yeah, the web shooters.
Yeah, he made him in the first Spider-Man.
Yeah, no, man.
I'm talking about the organic, like the organic ones where it comes out of his
did
wrist.
they do it in the comics where it actually came out of his skin?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Oh.
The movie.
Okay, then I don't feel so bad now.
So that's what I'm saying. So the movie did it first, and again, I think they came out in 2002. The
Encyclopedia, is Manny's correct? Is Manny's information correct?
right? He's about to double check me, and if I
He's looking. He's confused. He's looking confused. When he looks confused, I'm gonna ask.
I am like legitimately wanting to know, because I
think so. If I remember correctly, the organic webbing in the comics first showed up in the storyline before the other with Morlun and everything.
Yeah, because he died and he ended up coming back to life
and getting new powers.
If you're watching live on Twitch, let us know if you know the answer below.
Right? Yes. No. So when he got those new powers and he lost his spider sense and everything, one of those new powers was organic webbing.
That's shit. You're right, dude. You know what, man?
That's it. That's the end of the podcast. Carlos said you're right. I win. We're done.
The timeline on the movie, dude. It's fucking 18 years ago.
Shut up. Damn it, man. Why'd you have to say that?
That's insane, dude. Like I'm getting my timeline mixed up, but you're fucking right, man. That's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah. So the movie did do it first, and just to make you feel better, Matt, like, even though I did like comics, I didn't read comics when they first came out, and so I always thought Spider-Man was organic as well. But it took me like a year to realize.
Not the only ones, I don't think.
I just knew. I mean, I just knew that he always made it because my first exposure to Spider-Man was the cartoon, and he'd always be running out of web cartridges. He's like, man, I'm out of web cartridges.
Yeah.
Fuck, you know what?
Then I'm a
I watched
dumbass.
them when I was young, and now I've never fucking clicked on that.
Yeah, look at that. We're both a couple of dumbasses in a podcast. That's perfect.
Never fucked it or not, man.
Yeah, dude. He's he always had like the little pills.
No, you're saying I remember watching them, and now it just
That would be actually a pretty good scene if they do the whole trio multiverse thing with Toby's like, y'all have web shooters. Like, what is that? Like you know how that meme template goes, where it's like y'all are getting paid, or everyone's like talking about how much they're getting paid, and at the very last
Yeah.
one, it's like y'all get paid.
That's the thing about Garfield's Spider-Man that they do really good is they actually show you the science geek in him because he
Yeah,
makes the web shooters.
yeah,
You get
Yeah.
to see him making the web shooters and all that. Where Tom Holland, I don't think we did.
yeah.
It
You
just
saw a small. That's what I was saying earlier. You saw a small where he's in the middle of science class, and
Oh,
in the
oh
side,
yeah, and he's mixing the
yeah, he was
chemicals
doing it
together.
real quick, and then he closes it
Yeah,
up, and that's
yeah.
it.
and I love that. That's like one of my favorite scenes where Garfield's in his room and he's like
Yeah.
just
Figuring it
running him
out.
and all that. Like I really like that scene.
Hmm.
Yeah, man. And like what I love is that again, you see him with his fucking all of his science stuff. You see him really sitting there like burning the midnight oil, man, like trying to figure it out. And
Yeah,
One
I like
thing,
that.
one thing about Homecoming, I don't know if I'm just ignorant about this, but the lockers. One thing that Tom Holland does, he lifts all of them up at one time, and I'm like, are they connected? Are the lockers? I don't think they should be. I don't think in real life that they are. So that just pissed me off. Like that's not how that works. This is not a secret compartment that you can just put whatever you want on. And even if he could lift it, there's not enough space down there. It's like that's not a cupboard. Like I don't know. That was just unbelievable. In a movie about a guy that shoots webs and can climb walls and shit, I couldn't believe that at all. But
um, but you know when it comes to ASM's like movies and the scenes, I'm never gonna forget the fucking scene in the sewer when he's like chasing the lizard, and he ends up spinning the web, and he like sits on it.
yeah,
Remember,
yeah,
remember that scene when he starts like creating the web, and he like even like flings it to like try and get vibrations and all that stuff. Dude, that whole scene was just beautiful, man, and really brings me into the movie and makes me feel like I'm reading a comic book, because whenever you see Peter fighting the lizard in the comic books, and he's in the swords and he's like spinning webs and all of that stuff, I could picture that being lifted out of a comic book movie, man.
Yeah.
And just that whole scene was fucking beautiful.
speaking
For
of
me.
that movie, I was telling Ashley how like one thing I don't like about Andrew Garfield's this movie specifically is that everything kind of just falls in his lap, like he just the way they explained the spider,
Convenient.
huh?
Everything was just very convenient.
Yeah, like the way they explained the spider bite is that it wouldn't have affected anybody else the way it affected Peter because of his blood. That's like with his dad working on that, and that's just like I'm like no, I don't like that. But with this one,
Hey, think about it. It's no worse. It's no worse than the way that Barry Allen got his fucking flash powers.
hey, Barry wants to go back in time and give himself powers. He can do that.
Oh,
Let him
shit,
do
that's
that.
right. That was the storyline, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but that just brings up, to me, that just brings up the chicken or the egg argument.
Yeah, that's true.
Come on,
But
come on. But
this,
but originally, the fact that the perfect mix of chemicals
oh
and
yeah, that's right. That's
and,
right.
and the perfect lightning bolt crashing down. Come on, man, it's no worse than that.
That works beautifully because it's not like everything was set up. I don't know. You know what? I'm not even gonna try to defend that. No, but
I hear you.
the scene where all the cranes line up because that guy was the one that he saved the kid's life. That's his dad,
Okay.
and then he gets all the scenes. Part of me is like bullshit, never gonna happen. Like, what in this movie about powerful beings, that's never gonna happen. But the comic book lover in me is like that would definitely happen in a comic book. I love this. The whole scene where he's got like his leg just got shot, and he's like, I'm still gonna do it, and he jumps and misses, and he gets picked up by another crane. Perfect Spider-Man, perfect comic book moment, and
Yeah.
but I'm like torn between both, but
that's why I liked Amazing Spider-Man better. I felt it gave me that like I was reading a comic book feel
Yeah.
to it.
yeah,
It
That's when I
absolutely,
started like getting into Spider-Man just when Amazing Spider-Man came out. So
yeah. It is the most comic book feel movie for me, and that's why they're my favorite. But I will say this though, Spider-Man 2 is still one of the it's still one of the best films. It
No.
it is. It it's still
I
one.
I will fight. I will die on this hill on anybody. Like it's just not that good of a movie, man. Like
Spider-Man 2, that was
Okay.
Harry. Yeah, he's fighting with Harry as Green Goblin.
no, that's three.
No, that's
The Doctor.
Thomas,
Doctor Octopus.
Dr. Ock, yeah, Dr. Ock, shit, Dr. Ock.
I
Fuck,
like
that one.
Doctor Octopus and everything in that movie, but like the train scene is the only scene. The whole like the train where he stops it and then afterwards where like they carry him and they put him down. It's like we promise we won't tell. That's the only good scene. That's
He's just a kid.
yeah,
that was
he's
beautiful.
just a kid. That's beautiful. I love that scene. Yes, that's it. That's the only good part of the movie.
Well, clearly Doc Ock doesn't die now in the end of that movie, being that he's been
Well, no,
credited.
he just
movie,
went
so
to
I
it.
reckon that just this is. Hey, you boys know I called it when it came to WandaVision.
I'm about to
Okay,
call it.
James
I'm about to
Fox.
call it too. But go ahead.
Jamie Foxx and Doc Ock aren't gonna be from a fucking multi-universe. They're just introducing these guys as those characters again and bringing more justice to those characters. That's all it is.
I think it's just gonna be a flashback. It's gonna be Peter saying, "I was just fighting Doc Ock," and it's gonna be a flashback of him fighting him. Maybe a different scene or something, and then
Nah, it can't be a flashback. They're gonna be in the movie. You're not gonna pay big bucks for these blokes just for a freaking flashback.
oh, I
They're gonna have a major
100%. You
part.
100% they're gonna pay just for a scene, man. Like that's all they're gonna do. And then Amazing Spider-Man is gonna be him just saying like, because they're gonna capture. They're gonna. This is me just bullshitting, but they are gonna capture them and move them from specific parts of the films that we've seen, and pull them and be like kind of like Captain
So you
America.
think it's gonna be a multiverse Spider-Man film?
I think so. I would hope so because that's
Do you
we've
want
established
it
it.
to be? Do you want it to be a multiverse Spider-Man film?
If we could get a Spider Verse film in the future, I'd be very happy. And if this establishes it, then I'd be happy with that. You know, Spider Verse.
I don't want it, but I've been always saying that it's a business plan. I reckon it is to bring in. So we'll have two universes of Spider-Man. We're gonna have two Spider-Man franchises running
Oh,
at
okay, I
once.
see what you're saying.
It's going to be to introduce the Tobey Maguire and Garfield, and I think Garfield will get his role back, and he'll be on with Morbius and Venom, and they'll have their. All I'll bring new Spider-Man, but they'll have their Spider-Man verse over
Right.
there, and
Well,
then MCU
Venom-
will have Tom Holland's Spider Verse.
Venom, and Morbius have been established so that they take place in Tom Holland's Spider-Man universe in
Yeah.
MCU.
They've confirmed
Yeah,
that,
you
or
just
you going
yeah.
by rumors?
You completely
Confirmed.
just shit on
By
me.
Marvel. by Marvel. Confirmed by
Well-
Marvel, yeah. You,
Well, I mean that's what the directors were saying, and that's why Tom Holland is supposed to be Tom Holland is going to be making a cameo in the Venom movie.
But it'll be from another universe.
by Marvel.
By
So I
Sony.
don't like. A lot of people are getting like their sources and their rumors mixed up with confirmation.
I mean that's what I've read, but I mean who knows, right?
If we,
Either way though, either way, if we get a Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire universe, and we all obviously continue with our Tom Holland universe, if it ends up being a multiverse kind of story, I'm perfectly okay with it because to me, man, this is what comics are all about, dude. Whenever you see your favorite Spider-Man meeting, I mean, bro, the fact that we can see this on the big screen, I mean, that is the
Yeah,
time.
it's good. It's good. It'll be good, but I just think, just like our original plans for Mortal Kombat, it's just gonna be rushed. It's just gonna be rushed, like that show. that
Well,
movie.
Well, I mean, that's what everybody thought when it came to like the Avengers and the fucking Endgame plot, but somehow they
Dude,
managed.
that was a 24 film freaking build up. You can't.
No. I mean, just the two Avengers movies of fitting all of those characters in, and all of them having the ability to like have their little moment to shine. I mean, it was done,
The
right?
Avengers, you had what? Thor come out, Iron Man come out before it. I had the Hulk. Like they introduced a.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the build up. I mean, dude, we already know who Andrew Garfield Spider-Man is. We know who Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is. I mean, we've had our movies with Tom Holland, so the idea of them, meeting and whatever the plot is gonna be, there's not that much time that has to be spent in terms of, well, who's that Spider-Man and who's this Spider-Man, I think that it can be done. I think that it can be done in the first 30 minutes of the movie, and if it's close to a 3 hour movie, I think that they'll be able to pull it off. Also, why I'm excited for this is because if they are bringing in the multiverse, I mean, obviously with Doctor Strange, it seems like that's, and with Loki, it seems like that's um, somewhat the future of the MCU movies. It's gonna open the door for us to see Miles Morales on the big screen.
Emma Stone come as Spider Gwen, mate. That's what I want.
And Spider Gwen, and I mean, I'm hoping Silk, because her series is in development for Amazon, right? I think Amazon, and that's been confirmed already, and it's gonna be a different actress than the one that's playing her in Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's Silk from a different universe, who's older, around the same age as Peter, which is the Silk that we get in the comics, and we can somehow bring her into this universe, dude, I'd be down for that, because then it also opens up the door for a Web Warriors series. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what I was gonna say. Like, if they could bring into film the Spider-Verse from the comics, like as good as Into the Spider-Verse was with Miles Morales and everything, if they could do the same like with the comic book version with Morlun as the main villain, I'm happy with whatever their plan is, if they can do that.
Dude, same here. But that's why I don't mind it much. And the Spider-Man comics have had not a very prolific history with different dimensions, but Peter has dealt with different versions of Spider-Man and jumping dimensions in the past, so I don't think that it's that far-fetched. And if it can bring these three Spider-Men together, dude, I think that it would make for some great character interactions. And this is why, because Tom Holland being the youngest Spider-Man, seeing where his life can potentially take him, and the kind of spider characters that the others become, I think that it'd be great to see Tom Holland seeing Andrew Garfield, seeing himself in Andrew Garfield, and then Andrew Garfield, I think seeing himself in Tobey Maguire, right? I think that they all represent a very important life, a very important period in Spider-Man's life, and where he is as a person and as a hero. Tom Holland Spider-Man, just starting out. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, a little bit. He's gone through the grief of losing Gwen. Who is he going to be from there? And then you have Tobey Maguire, who I think at the end of all of the films is, the most seasoned, I think, Spider-Man. And the one that I'd say we see become the Spider-Man before the fucking events of One More Day, right? And I think that seeing those three eras of Spider-Man and then being able to learn and see themselves in each other while tackling on whatever villain it is that we're gonna get, that shit is gonna be special. Which is why I'm down for it. And that's my take.
I want if they do this multiverse, I want Tobey Maguire Spider-Man to die at the end. And die. And I want them to go off my plan, have Andrew Garfield with the Sonyverse Spider-Man and Tom Holland MCU. Because to be honest, now that you're saying that you're confident that Venom and Morbius are going to be in the same timeline, do you really see Tom Holland Spider-Man, really taking on that kind of Venom? You know what I mean? No way. Tom Holland get his head kicked in. That Spider-Man will get his head kicked in. I just don't see him be able to fight a threat like that.
Makes it for he loses at the end of the movie, and now we have a third movie coming. Something like that.
It's just, that I just can't. That's the thing about Tom Holland Spider-Man. He's just too. There's some villains I don't think he could literally beat.
Yeah, or where they could be taking this, man, is that he does face off against Venom and he gets like messed up, and keep in mind even the Venom version of that we're getting right now, he's not completely evil yet. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? He's not. And the next Venom movie is gonna be Venom against Carnage. What I can see happening is Tom Holland Spider Man. Obviously facing off against Venom, they fight. He gets messed up, but they have to come together and take on Carnage at the end, and they could adapt the comic book storyline where Spider-Man and Venom have to team up to take down Carnage. It could be a loose adaptation Maximum Carnage.
Right.
And that would be fucking awesome. You have Venom and Spidey teaming up.
So
Um,
so speaking of things that you want to see, I just thought of this while so we were talking earlier about Uncle Ben not being in Tom Holland's universe at all, right? What if
yeah.
what if Tobey Maguire, the face of Tobey Maguire is Uncle Ben in Tom Holland's universe? They somehow show that, so when he sees Tobey Maguire as Spider Man, he's gonna be like Uncle Ben. That would be I don't know. I think I would like that a lot, just because again you're saying like you're
So
seeing
Tobey Maguire would resemble
Uncle
Uncle
Ben
Ben, look like Uncle Ben.
in Tom Holland's
Family,
world. Yeah, I feel like that'd be pretty cool. Like because of what of Carlos what Carlos was saying is that he would see something in himself in Andrew Garfield and see something in himself in Tobey Maguire. So if he could be like
Yo,
Ben, like like get that
you know
confusion.
what?
What's that?
You know what? I would actually love something like that. And you know what? Marvel could redeem themselves because they'd be doing a better and more respectful version to fans of Ralph Boner
What's that?
with,
Well, I haven't heard that name before.
Is that
with
Uncle Ben?
one Pietro when they fucking introduce
Oh.
No, that's it. The one that Matty Boy was right with. The talking pop culture was right. The
Yes.
whole time he said no, 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 no. And you were like, no, yeah, 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 yeah.
And look again, the showrunners have said that it was all about misdirection, and I get it. I think that everyone put too much stock in that being the the door opening for the X-Men and the X-Men universe, and everyone put their uh, expectations a little bit too high, but it doesn't detract from the fact that that was at to some degree bullshit, right? Like
Yeah.
it was in bad taste. But with what you're saying, if they were to do something like that, it'd be fucking redeeming for Marvel to do, man.
It
And I
would.
think you
I think I would just like really appreciate the scene with like maybe Marissa Tomei as Aunt May kind of going up to Toby and like, Ben, is that you? Kind of crying, and Toby just saying, no, I'm Peter, but like I was just like something heartfelt of like, in my world, you guys were amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah,
although
I don't
although I
know.
guess if you kind of think about it, that'd be kind of weird
It
because
would.
Nah, they gotta do like Star Wars shit where she's gotta run up and she's gonna Ben, and she just kisses him and he, oh man, it's me, Peter.
where it's
And they
like
gotta do.
where it's like my husband that I love, in another universe is
Is
my nephew.
you got it too much. You just gotta appreciate it. The next thing that talking about this, what would you so if they do a multiverse, would you want to see Toby return in his suit and Andrew Garfield return in his suit, or would you like Toby to be like in that last Spider on the Earth or whatever suit where it's like a leather red jacket, and then like
Ooh,
and Andrew Garfield is like in a completely different suit, like it's more advanced because it has been a couple of years in the future maybe. Yeah,
um,
I don't know.
if if we do a multiverse thing, I would definitely want them to keep their original suits, and they would just be pulled from whatever wherever it is that we
Moment
left
in
off.
time.
Yeah, maybe a little bit updated because obviously Tobey Maguire is older.
Old.
Uh, Andrew Garfield is older. They look a little bit different, and you want them to be in different stages of their career. But I wouldn't want to see Tobey Maguire's Spider Man head into the direction like the storyline in which he has the jacket, because that shit's grim and that's just fucking dark. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
isn't that storyline where it's Ben Parker and not not Peter Parker? Because there is a Spider-Man that is Ben.
Yeah, but
Yeah, the one that
that
J.J. Abrams just wrote.
but that Spider-Man with the jacket, that is Peter.
Oh, okay, never mind. The one that J.J. Abrams just wrote, that's Kid
That's
Ben, not
that's
Ben,
his,
Uncle Ben.
Yeah, yeah,
oh, you're talking about Uncle Ben.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
yeah. Uncle Ben. But yeah, I want to see them, be maybe a little bit more into their Spider-Man career, but I don't want them to be so far into it that we miss so much background that we don't get context into what they've really been through. You know
We
what I
don't need
mean?
it. We don't need it. They're just gonna come in. They're gonna help out Tom for like a couple of scenes, and then they're gonna leave. I guarantee if they do it, it's gonna be short. It's not gonna be the whole movie.
Yeah, no. I wouldn't expect it to be the whole movie, but I still hope that it's enough where it doesn't feel like it was more fan service than anything else.
I think
I
that's
would
what
want I would want it to definitely be more of a developed plot point, and that's why I would want them to be not that much farther if they do say that they've been Spider-Man for a bit, not that much farther into their career because I think we'd be able to connect with them much better because we know what they've been through, and for the most part, we understand, the experiences that they've had. If we end up getting Tobey Maguire and he's got this whole completely different suit and he's been Spider-Man for like 15, 20 years and, you know, it's still going to be fun and it's still going to be amazing, but it's a Spider-Man that we don't really know anymore, right? And when it comes to Andrew Garfield, the same thing. If he's got this crazy advanced, suit, it's like, you know,
What I'm hearing is that you didn't learn your lesson about getting your hopes up from WandaVision with Ralph Bonner, and now you're getting your hopes up that it's gonna be a Spider-Man that you know, and they're gonna do something.
but I'm not. But that's the thing. I'm not. This is just what I would like to see. It's not at all what I'm expecting because honestly, right now, I really don't expect. I don't expect anything other than Tom Holland to be in this movie.
Yeah,
And
that's the
if it
safe.
has anything to do with the multiverse, obviously Alfred Molina has been confirmed to be coming back. He is going to be Doc Ock. We know that J.K. Simmons is going to be back as J. Jonah,
Hmm.
and he's going to play both a version of the J. Jonah that is part of the MCU and the J. Jonah that's from.
That's confirmed.
Yeah.
That's not confirmed. He's confirmed for this. They haven't confirmed anything about him playing any characters. Aren't confirmed from. They're confirmed to be in the film. They're not confirmed to be from the multiverse.
Because I know Jay Jonah is in
Because if
there.
they're going to confirm they're from the multiverse, then everyone then 100% this film's about the multiverse. They're confirmed to be in the film. They haven't confirmed what their role is.
But
Okay.
but
They've confirmed, yeah. Jamie Foxx confirmed that he's going to be Electro because he said he's not going to be Blue this time on Twitter,
Yeah.
and then he deleted it. Ock came out and said, yeah, but they didn't confirm that they're from the films previously. They just confirmed that they're in this film.
You're right. So, well, J.K. Simmons is going to be playing two versions of J. Jonah. You're right. The other version, the other version may or may not be from Andrew Garfield's,
Now,
universe.
Jay Jonah's playing the version that we got at the end of Far From Home.
Yeah, that one, and then one more.
One. Okay.
Have they came out and confirmed that he's playing one more?
Yeah, one more.
See, what I want to happen and what I confidently think will happen, I want Tobey Maguire to be the Spider-Man that is just kind of like in Into the Spider-Verse, the Peter Parker that's old, beat up, had enough, lost hope, he's lost Aunt May, he's lost Mary Jane, he's just lost everything. That's the Spider-Man, that's what I want. And I want him to, I want them to be about the film and the three of them all eventually team up at the end to fight Doc Ock, to fight Electro, to fight, I reckon to be the Sinister Six, and to fight them. And like they convince Garfield Spider-Man, who, like you said, Manny, is more up to date, more, has technology in the suit, and he's more up to date. He's hit his peak.
Mhm.
That Garfield's hit his peak. So you've got your Spider-Man that's
A veteran.
that's done. You got your Spider-Man that's hit his peak, and then you got your Spider-Man that's
Starting out.
still on the training wheels,
Yeah.
just about to get off the training wheels. And
Yeah.
then I just want to, at the end, Tobey Maguire puts on his suit back on, and he pulls out the original suit from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
See,
And just add a bit of it. I want him to die at the end, just to to add a bit because if you give us three Spider-Mans, kill one. You know what I mean? No matter what, whether you kill Tobey Maguire, the older fans like us will be, upset. You kill the Amazing Spider-Man. I don't think anyone will give a shit, but I will. So I still say it's my favorite Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Tom Holland, you're not. But that's not what I want. But what I think they're going to do is, I think, like you guys have been saying, because I've only thought of this because you guys have been talking about it, how they're going to pluck him from certain parts and times. I reckon Andrew Garfield's going to be fighting his Electro. He's going to get plucked then. And Doc Ock and Spider-Man are going to be fighting, but he doesn't fall. He falls through the water and drowns.
Yeah.
I reckon they're going to replicate that fight scene, and he's going to get plucked before Doc Ock drowns.
Yeah.
Then Carlo Boccherius, because rumours are Defoe's in this, and he's going to be the Green Goblin. People are saying that he's going to be travelling through the time. Maybe he travels through time and then plucks Electro and plucks Doc Ock and brings them back to Tom Holland's Spider-Verse. And
that's too much.
There you go.
That's too much. He said Willem Dafoe.
It's a bit confusing, but it's going to be like that. They're going to pluck him, and then Norm Osborn's going to come pluck him, and then there's going to be a big fight between all the OGs and new characters versus all the fucking OGs and new Spider-Man.
Yeah, see, your version, dude. I would enjoy that very much as well. But like I was mentioning, Manny, all that I'm expecting is for it to be a Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. Anything else that I end up getting is gonna be fucking extra, and I'll be excited either way.
So
but I'm not expecting anything. Honestly, I've been saying it on my videos. I'm not expecting Garfield to rock up. I'm convincing myself that they're not. So if they do turn up, I'm going to enjoy it a lot more than everyone that's just fucking get sucked into these rumors. That's why I'm trying I'm listening to what's being said, but I'm not believing it. Because I don't want to believe it all, because so many times people believe it all. You go in, and then you leave, and the movie's still great, but because what happened, things didn't happen that you expected to happen, you're going to hate the movie, and not look at it at hang on, this was actually a really good movie.
That's why I avoid spoilers like the fucking plague, man. You guys know that I sometimes don't even watch trailers because I like to go in as blind as possible. And for the most part, I've avoided the majority, I think, of the rumors that are being talked about this movie. But it's kind of impossible to run into something because it's being talked about so damn much. But that's why, again, I'm just expecting a Tom Holland movie. My hopes and my vision for this movie are along the same lines as you, Matt. The only difference is that I want the ending and the Tobey Maguire piece to be a little bit more hopeful, if that makes sense.
So right now, like just talking about this and listening to your theory, Matt, I just realized, and maybe you have thought about this, but this is the first time I think about it. This whole time we've been thinking that Toby and Andrew are going to show up in Tom Holland's universe, but the film is called No Way Home. So what if Tom Holland is the one traveling to universe to universe? He got strapped with some kind of, I don't know, device, and that device blew up, and he went to Tom Holland or to Toby's universe, tries to figure out how to get home, and then somehow when he thinks he figures it out, he goes to Andrew's universe, and now he has to fight Electro there. So he changes something to where Electro is no longer blue because Tom Holland showed up, and now he's not, something like that, and then the film ends, and you don't know if he went home, and then I know that you guys don't like all these Spider-Men, but what if instead of going home, he goes to 2099 and meets O'Hara?
Dude,
that'd be,
fuck yeah.
And that's why, that's how it ends. He's not home yet, and then that's the next film.
Yes,
well, it makes sense with the title No Way Home. You're right there.
Yeah, I just thought about that. So
I would love that, and if they were all three to not team up, and he were to just visit each of their universes.
That's what I'm saying. So he would show up at Toby's at the point where he's about to drown the whole reactor thing, Doc Ock. So they're not even gonna fight. He just shows up and he's like, "Hey, that's a Spider-Man fighting somebody," and then it's the same scene from the movie we already saw and then he goes to Andrew
He's
Garfield.
just going to be crawling. He's
Yeah.
just going to be crawling on the roof, watching, think, what the fuck, and then travel to the next
Something
universe,
like
and then
that.
there's your 2 seconds.
He never even interacts with the other Spider-Man. I feel like that's a more plausible.
Maybe.
You know, that would be actually good because that's like fan service 101, like just going to it, getting to relive those same scenes, but watching it.
Yeah, different.
You know what I mean? Through Spider-Man's eyes that
If
we're watching now.
if they do end up doing that, to me, it'll cheapen it because what's the point?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it would be for the sole purpose of fan service, and that's what I don't want. I want this to actually have some weight to it.
You want them to interact and do something.
Exactly, and it doesn't have to be again 2/3 of the movie, but if they are going to be bringing them back, and if we're going to see their universe, and if Tom Holland is going to be around them, like, don't cheapen it.
Yeah.
But I can absolutely see where your train of thought is, Manny, in that he may just visit each of the universes individually. And it'd be cool if they do, some kind of version of, I don't know, what is it, the Christmas, the ghosts of Christmas Past kind of thing, where he'll go to Tobey Maguire, they'll interact, and he'll learn something from him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something about being Spider-Man, something about his life, yada yada, and then he has some kind of device or something's happening, and then he gets ported over to Andrew Garfield, and he has his
Well,
adventure.
we wouldn't have a device because Doctor Strange is in this, so I reckon Doctor Strange will be helping him jump the multiverse.
Or something's-
Whatever,
yeah,
I mean,
going on. Yeah.
However he ends up traveling to universes, device, Doctor Strange, magic, whatever. It's more so of, it's not so much what gets him there, but the fact that he is there, right? And then he goes to Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man universe, and he teams up with him, learns something from him, and he ends up making his way back home, having interacted and having been exposed to these two Spider-Men, and that helps him navigate and become this, or start the path of becoming the Spider-Man that he wants to become.
Everyone knows who he is. So the question is, do you think we might get the whole Mephisto one last day story?
It's too early for that.
Don't forget, everyone knows who he is on his universe.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't think so, because that's way too early. And the only way that they could bring in Mephisto to this, where it could make sense and it'd be some weight, is that he would present him with the offer to bring back Uncle Ben. But
You reckon they're gonna keep him having his identity known?
No. So what I think is actually going to happen is, so there are rumors. These are rumors, and these are part of the rumors that I haven't been able to avoid. And again, whether they're right or wrong, it's not the point. But it does allow for you to kind of think, well, maybe this can happen. Supposedly, Doctor Strange is going to become his new mentor, or take.
Yeah, that's what everyone's saying, because he's an
So, if it happens, if it doesn't happen, I mean, that's besides the point of whether I'm going to be let down or not. But if that does end up happening, they could simply loosely adapt the Civil War storyline, where Doctor Strange helped the world forget that Peter was Spider-Man, because initially he was the one that helped him get his secret identity back. So Doctor Strange could just pop in at some point.
This whole, if it is a mentor, I'm gonna hate it, because it's like, fuck, let Spider-Man be his own man.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He doesn't need you. You got Iron Man and Doctor Strange. Like, it's like you can't trust this guy to be his own man. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure. I would, more so than a mentor, I would like it more that that Spidey just goes to Doctor Strange to get some help.
Yeah.
Because in the comics, I think that Doctor Strange is the most visited person by the superhero community. If you think about it, when some shit's going down, they show up at the Sanctum Sanctorum, right? Like, hey, Doc.
Anytime anybody shows up at his house, he always has the same response. He's just, what?
I know it.
What?
I've got a new theory. Now that you said the Inner Sanctum. I've got a new theory. Man, I'm full of them here now. Everyone knows who he is. a villain's going to kill Aunt May, and
Or
he's going to
try.
go to Doctor Strange's place because you can teleport. You can teleport at Doctor Strange's place, can't you? Isn't there that teleport part? And he's going to teleport through the universe just to try to save Aunt May. Mm.
That
That kind of ties into the whole Civil War thing again. Like maybe someone tried to hurt Aunt May, and
yeah, and
What happened in Civil War? I can't remember that. Oh wait, yeah, it does.
yeah. So and look, I don't see them actually tackling the Mephisto story with Spider-Man. To be honest with you, that's not where I see them
So who's
introducing.
Villa? Who's because like you've been encyclopedia man. Mephisto. Who's he like? Who was his first? You know, who did he first fight?
wasn't it
Like,
Thanos?
his first appearance. Who was he against? First appearance?
Technically, it was the Fantastic Four, from what I remember.
Okay.
Yeah, the
So
Fantastic.
he was never originally a Spider-Man. Like how everyone has their villains.
Never been,
What
yeah.
villain is he
I
from?
don't
Like,
think
what was
Mephisto
he?
Yeah.
has like a hero connected to him specifically
Yeah,
that I know of.
it's not Spider-Man, and it never was.
Okay. That was the thing. Like you're not going to bring in a villain that's not really connected to.
Oh,
But you
yeah,
see, the
no,
fact
no.
that it doesn't
Alright.
make sense that Mephisto would do this, now it's got me thinking like it is gonna be Mephisto, and I'm gonna be pissed. It's like-
Mate, there's been so much talk about Mephisto. It's like.
Oh wait,
funny.
so actually no, sorry. Mephisto first popped up in Silver Surfer. That's right,
Oh.
in Silver Surfer. And he was, and now from what I remember, he was an antagonist to Silver Surfer and also Thor and all that shit. So he didn't really pop up in Spider-Man until that storyline, from what I remember.
And that was the only time until Nick Spencer decided to give us a teaser, then piss him off.
Yeah, for sure. But either way, man, I'm just excited that even the remote possibility of us getting something like this is a testament to where we are in terms of the comic book storylines that we can potentially enjoy on the big screen. And the fact that it's even a possibility is a win for me, and it's exciting, man. The for me, ultimate enjoyment is going to be if we're able to see all of these three team up together.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't happen, I'm sure it's going to be a good movie, and I think that they're putting a lot of importance into this Spider-Man movie, because the last one, Far Far From Home, it, it wasn't that great.
What? You didn't like it? I thought it was good. I mean,
I
I
mean,
haven't
like-
rewatched it.
Like, it was fun. There was a lot of cool things about it, but it wasn't an extremely strong Spider-Man movie.
Do you think that you feel that way because it wasn't really connected to any of the MCU movies? It was a standalone, or
No. It honestly doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be connected to the MCU at all. It's just that I would have wanted to have taken place in New York,
that's true. Yeah.
and the idea, the introduction of Mysterio, it was obviously updated, for him to be more of a tech dude and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is my issue. The motivations of why Mysterio wanted to do what he did, it's kind of weak for me.
It's typical
Yeah,
villain.
I'm biased because I'm gonna love Spider-Man film no matter what.
Mm.
'Cause I love Zendaya, so
That's true.
Oh,
if she's in the film, it's gonna be a 10 out of 10.
Bro, she's great. She's great. Her comedic timing,
Perfect.
is fucking perfect. And
The only thing
she's
I don't like is that she's MJ, but her name's
Yeah.
Megan freaking. And like, that's the only thing I don't like. But I like
And-
her, and I like his mate. Like,
yeah.
as long as they're in it, like the three of them got good chemistry, and like I agree, like the storyline was not strong enough for Far From Home. I don't think it was strong enough, but I think the chemistry between those three characters carried the film
What do you think?
Yeah.
for me.
And And look, to me, it's not a bad film. It's not a bad film. It just wasn't that good compared to the first Spider-Man movie.
Speaking
Because
of
the first one
speaking
they threw
of
everything in the kitchen sink at it. You know what I mean? Like Iron Man, and they threw everything at it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But here, you know what? The best way that I can put it, Far From Home felt like a one shot in comic books. I hope that's a good analogy.
yeah,
You
Yeah.
know what I
that
mean?
makes sense.
Where,
Yeah.
where it was a one shot, and you're like, hey, that was cool. Or even better yet, it was like an annual.
One thing about
Yeah.
one that
You
Far From
know?
Home though, I liked Mysterio better than the villain Vulture in the first one. That's
What?
A vulture. Okay.
Nah, dude, Vulture was the way that they depicted Vulture and his motivations for why he became Vulture and how they tied that into
His suit.
uh the MCU, into the fucking invasion, into the the working class, into being overshadowed, into heroes
that's the
and
same what they done with Mysterio. Tony Stark taking their technology that they created.
sure, but I guess the difference for me is that Mysterio came across as more cartoony and diabolical, and the dude was just out for vengeance for the sake of vengeance. But Vulture, you saw his family, right? You saw that he cared about his daughter. Like you know, you saw his crew. Now he ended up being evil for the sake of being evil at the end, but that's not how he started.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know.
that's true.
That's how I feel. And also, the Vulture felt pretty menacing. If
He
that makes sense.
was. He
Like
was. He really pissed me off when he like turned around and was like, "Hey, Peter, I just did you a favor and I saved your life, and are you gonna say thank you to me?" And Peter just like, "Thank you." Like it works because he's a child. But in my
exactly.
mind, I'm like, "You're fucking Spider Man, man! Like punch him right now! Like you can take him right now. What's he gonna do? He
Yeah.
doesn't have his suit.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any. You didn't know that Shocker was there. Like
Yeah. But and the Vulture really, dude, like he felt fucking menacing, man. Like you know, and I love Jake Gyllenhaal. I think that he's an amazing actor. Some of my favorite films, have him in it, and I'm not even saying that he was a terrible actor in this movie. It's just the overall setup, and the elementals and the way that they, introduce the I'm from a different dimension. Again, it was, I
it
don't know.
was.
I like that.
It left.
Like Far From Home, I love that fight scene where he's making everything appear, Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
That was epic.
yeah. The scenes, the scenes with the fucking mirrors and all of that shit, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, all of that great. Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of really good stuff to that film. I just think that hey, you can do better.
I
You
think
know,
the best takeaway from Far Away was the fact, Far From Home, is the fact that he learned his Spidey sense. Like he actually used it in a fight.
hit what?
His spider sense.
Dude, I love that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Um, I was afraid that we were never gonna get a good depiction of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that it was only going to be like uh, casually kind of referenced, but not really explicitly shown.
Yeah.
And I felt like that movie got a lot closer to that.
So one final question, because Matt brought up his friend Ned. This is my final question that I have on this: is do y'all believe or do y'all want the rumors to be true that Ned's gonna be the Hobgoblin?
That's what I was about to ask as well. Do you reckon he's going to end up a villain?
I hope they don't pursue that storyline, and I hope that they do deviate from the comics. Um, Now, it could make for an extremely intriguing, story and movie, and the fact that Peter has to face off against his best friend, and it'll create for some great
They
drama.
already did that with Tobey
And-
Maguire and
Yeah.
yeah, exactly,
Andrew.
exactly. They've already done that. Um, I want Spider-Man. I want Tom Holland Spider-Man to face challenges, and I want him to, face obstacles, but I don't want this iteration of Spider-Man to necessarily get to heartbreaking and to the point where he's just constantly being beat down in the most awful way possible. You know, I do
He's
want
young.
this Spidey to, huh?
He's young still. Like he's still technically 17 or something.
Yeah, you know, I want him to have his core group of friends, man, because I think that I'll enjoy more the storylines that can be derived from that than from him facing another, like, I gotta find my best friend, and he, you know, ended up turning into one of my, you know, arch nemesis. Like, nah, man, you have so many fucking villains to create.
It's the Sinister Six, mate. They've made what, 6 Spider-Man films, and we haven't had the Sinister Six yet.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, there are so many Spidey villains that can create dilemmas, challenging, complex situations, and you know, making him grow as a character. You don't gotta throw, you know, his best friend being the fucking villain, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I'd just be tired of that if that makes sense. I don't want to see friends fighting each other. You know what I mean?
He's just not there yet. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's just not there yet, man. So I hope that you know Ned doesn't become the Hobgoblin.
Oh, they reckon he's lost all the weight. They reckon
That
that's why.
that's the only reason that I can kind of believe it is because he's lost weight. He's kind of building for another role.
wanted
It
to get
doesn't have to be
healthy, I reckon.
Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I reckon he realised he's a movie star now, mate. He's starting to look good and get all the pretty ladies.
and hey, actually, good for him, man. You know, for making that. I know this is super off topic, but good for him for wanting to make better decisions in terms of his health. You know, and wanting to be healthier. Not that there's anything, you know, wrong, or I'm not saying anything wrong with.
But that's the thing. Like, was it his choice, or was it like, hey, man, we're gonna do this role. Do you want to do that? If you do, you have to do this. And it's like, all right.
I mean, supposedly, from what I remember reading in an interview, is that he wanted to, you know, make better health choices for himself. Now, obviously, we don't know. That could have been a mandate from you know Marvel, but if it was just his particular choice to try and get healthier, it's good, man. It's good.
Yeah,
It's good for
I was
him.
gonna say, man, we just heard Andrew Garfield say that he's not in the movie, and yet here we are talking about him being in the movie. Like, so,
Game of Werewolf. He keeps using that terminology,
Yeah.
that idiot.
No, I
Like,
mean,
it's the
so,
worst.
so I didn't watch the thing. What happened? Like the whole interview.
So he's saying he's like, on both interviews he keeps saying, I don't know. We call it werewolf, like he was saying, but then the people that he was speaking to didn't know what the game werewolf was, so it's called Mafia. A lot of people know Mafia, where what it is it's a game where one person, you know, out of 6 whatever, is a werewolf, and you got to do shit to throw people off the scent that you're the werewolf, and you've got to convince people that you're not the werewolf. And that's what he's saying. He's saying, listen, I'm not the I'm not the werewolf, as in I'm not in this film, but the whole point of that game is if you are the werewolf,
You gotta say you're not.
you've got to convince them that you're not. So people are saying, well, hang on. The terminology you're using, you're saying you're not the werewolf,
Oh,
but
God.
the same game, if you are, you've got to convince people that you're not. So a lot of people are now feeding into that, thinking this is him saying that, yes, I'm in the film, without saying, yes, I'm in the film.
and also, he fucking dude. He rambled on that interview, and
That was acting. That was acting. Like, listen,
I
as a
know.
person that loves theatre studies and drama and all that, if you're an actor, like I'm not saying I'm an actor, but as you got to think of it as a business point of view, right? If you're an actor, he's trending at the moment. What's the best thing you can do as an actor? Trend. Obviously for good reasons,
That
not
makes
bad
sense.
reasons.
no,
You trending. He has a movie coming out. He's got a movie coming out. He's trending. His name's going to be at the top. So when people look up Andrew Garfield, yeah, they're going to see Spider-Man, but his best friend just directed. He just starred in a film that was directed by one of his really good friends.
Okay.
You're searching up Andrew Garfield. You're going to get Spider-Man, but you're also going to get this new film that he's got coming out next week. That was filmed by his best friend. So
Sure.
it's giving exposure to that film. That's what it is. That's what people don't understand. He's doing that. He was doing. You watch Entertainment Tonight one. He was cool, calm, collected when he got asked Spider-Man one. This was just some fucking YouTuber podcaster bloke. He thought, fuck, this is an opportunity. He does it. So the people, no, he's the buzz. He's the talk. He's got a film coming out. That's what you got to do. Kanye, every time Kanye has an album coming out, what does he do? He does fucking something stupid. So he's trending. So people see his name and see that he's got an album coming out. That's all
and,
it
I'm
is.
not, and no, I completely see that train of thought. I just meant that in the interview, and the reason why people are like blowing it up and they keep on calling bullshit and they don't stop talking about it is because he was just asked like, "Hey, are you gonna be Spider-Man?" And it
You
was
just say no. Yeah.
like, "No, man. Like, I really Marvel hasn't called me. I really don't know anything about it. Would you like to be Spider-Man? I mean, dude, yeah, fuck yeah. If I can get the opportunity, I love Spider-Man. I don't want to return to it. But we'll see what happens.
Well, that's what in Entertainment Tonight they said. Do you want to go back to Spider-Man?
Anything's up in the air. But in that first one, it was like, hey, like there's rumors that you're gonna be Spider-Man. Oh, fucking, and it went in, and it spiraled into this like, what are you saying, man?
God.
And that's where that's
Yeah, I can see why people, but again, like people,
Yeah, oh, man.
they're trying to believe what they want to believe, but they're not looking at it. You've got to look at it at that point as well. That I'll kind of say. I'm not saying that I'm right, but you've got to look at it at that point. You've got a film coming out. Whenever you've got a film coming out, you want to be trending, but obviously for good reasons, not bad reasons. And he's trending for good reasons.
And
Right,
there is
tell me. If he's not in this film, I swear to God, the first thing I'm gonna do when I get home from the cinema, I'm gonna jump on my YouTube account, I'm gonna make a video, I'm gonna say, guys, ladies, gentlemen, who was right? Who was right? Who was right? And if I was wrong, I'm gonna come out and apologise and say, yeah, I was wrong. But I'm just confident he's not in it. I'm confident they're both not gonna be in it. I'm confident.
and that's fine. That's fine.
Because what film was it where I listened to all these rumors? It was a DC film. I can't remember exactly. I listened to all these bullshit rumors.
Justice
I
League.
went into the film and I fucking hated it. I can't remember which one it was. And then that was to the day I thought, I'm not going to get sucked into all these people. I'll listen to what they're saying, but I'm not going to get sucked into what they're saying.
Yo, I mean, here's a little bit of shade that I'm gonna throw at DC, but there's not that many DC movies that have come out, man. So I don't think it's that hard of which one?
Films coming out, like seriously, have you had a look at the next 12 months?
Yeah, that's
We've got Black Widow coming out, then Shang-Chi, and then in this year, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man. Is the Eternals this year or is it being pushed back?
not this
Next
year.
year.
It's this year.
year.
And
Yo.
this.
We got 6 months. We got 4 fucking films coming out. 4 films in 6 months. Not to mention Suicide Squad as well for DC.
That's one. That's
Oh,
it.
hey, by the way, you know what? Just real quick, when it comes to Shang-Chi, something that I learned and that I thought was something good to know as like a Marvel fan, and also I've never really read the comics, but the actor that's gonna be playing him, Simu Liu, he went on Twitter and he said he posted a post on how to correctly pronounce his name, but also how to correctly pronounce Shang-Chi. It's not Shang-Chi, it's Shang. Shon.
And that's I don't know why, but
That's
that
because you
sounds
bloody
more.
Yanks, mate, don't know how to bloody pronounce things.
You're the one saying Shang-Chi, Shang-Chi.
Because that's why I always say all you guys pronouncing it.
Oh,
Shang-Chi.
get
My whole
out
life
of
has always
here.
been when I watch videos and even the people on freaking Marvel themselves, mate. You go look at all the go on the Marvel's YouTube account. They call it Shang-Chi. That's why.
Okay, all right, Andrew.
So they've had an actual
backpedaling,
Asian come out and say,
backpedaling.
"Hang on, motherfuckers, you've been getting your own character's name wrong. It's Shang-Chi. You've been getting it wrong. Your own character wrong."
Anyways, I was bringing it up because hey, I learned something and I thought it was cool. So now just whenever I'm talking about it with someone, I'm like, hey, by the way, did you know? Because I think that it is something fun, not fun. It's something respectful.
Yeah, 100%. It's like what state? Do you remember what city I'm from?
Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Melbourne. It's Melbourne. Melbourne. Not Melbourne. Melbourne.
Melbourne. There you go.
No,
Melbourne.
that sounds
But-
dumb. Nah.
Because it's just American pronunciation. You do things a bit differently.
But I will say that sounds more offensive to say Chong. Is that how you said it?
Sean.
Shang. It
Shang.
still sounds offensive. Like when you first said it, I was like, that sounds wrong.
Dude, have you read the first? Go get on your computer, right? Read the first Shang-Chi comic, the Marvel Unlimited, whatever issue number 15 or 16.
Uh-huh.
Go read it. They have they have like American characters calling Shang-Chi yellow.
Yeah.
They painted his skin. The coloring of his skin is yellow. They call him a lot of like, if you've seen Gran Torino, they use a lot of those terminologies in the comic. So
And you said this is his original debut, right?
the original one.
Yeah.
What is it? Marvel Spectacular issue 15 or something.
Honestly, I have very very limited knowledge with.
Just go read. It's like the Marvel, not Shang-Chi's like first series, but his first appearance was a Marvel Spectacular something issue 15 and 16. Go read it. You'll be blown away by how racist it is. Like if you read it now and you think, shit, they made a book like this.
Man,
Now
you can go and watch movies from the 2000 era, and you're gonna see.
You're like,
gonna
oh
be like,
shit, this does
that's not a good joke. You shouldn't.
No,
Be, yeah.
But yeah,
It's just a different
that's the one
time.
I'm looking forward to most. Shang-Chi and Spider-Man are probably, but then, rewatching all the Marvels, well, Black Widow, I'm starting to really look forward to as well.
Yeah, but yeah. And anyways, that was just a quick little aside. That the opportunity presented itself. So, but
I can't believe that God come and corrected everyone. That's good.
But Spider-Man, I'm just excited for it, man. And
I just hope that Spider-Man ends with him not being at home, because you can't call it No Way Home and then have him arrive at home.
He'll end with him on the moon with Steve Rogers.
Captain, is that you? That's it. All right. Well, that was really good talk, guys, about Spider-Man. I really thought that we were gonna like run out of things to say around 20-30 minutes, and we're still going. So I really appreciate you guys. Again, we got Matt talking pop culture, Carlos over here with the hardest name to say, Omnipotent City Comics.
Tried searching when you try to search him up on Instagram.
No. So thank you for watching. If you're watching, follow here on Twitch. If you're not watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.
Also, hook up your iPhone or your Android to your car and do your Apple CarPlay or Android CarPlay. Head over to the podcast. You can actually listen to our podcast while you're driving. Because I just found out on my brand new Mazda CX-5 that I've got, I can listen to our podcast while I'm driving, which I do every morning to work.
Really quick, you said plug it in. Do they not have Bluetooth in Australia?
We do have Bluetooth. For some reason, plug the USB. You got to plug the USB into the phone for some reason.
No, I'm just fucking with you. No, that's actually a really good point though. If you want to listen while you're driving to work, you're stuck in traffic, give us a listen.
Thanks, everybody.
See you next week.
Thanks, everyone.